This is Between Hooksets. I'm Jason Walter from In Through the Outdoors with my partner in slime, Kurt Underhill from the fishing crew.
What's up, buddy?
Not much. I pretty much nailed that hook set, though.
You did. You didn't miss it. You did not miss this week.
Yeah, I was a little off on the Mississippi. I think PJ Vick was laughing at me a little bit. When I told him I sucked as a fisherman, I don't think he believed it. But it was so. We ended up having a cold front. What do you do? Yeah. Massive cold front, biggest one of the year, basically. And it really changed things. It changed the bite. The bite got super light, and I don't have a light enough hand. I couldn't tell they were there. It was a little windy, 15 to 20. It was enough to just a tad more than a walleye chop, but we caught perch. He caught the big ones and I didn't. So
that'll happen. That's how it happens when I'm in a boat usually.
Yeah, that's kind of the same with me, and I know that our guest has said we need to get in the boat and fish together, but I'm always nervous to get in the boat because I know he knows how to fish and I don't want to embarrass myself.
Yeah,
so
our guest tonight definitely has got a light hand and knows how to get it done because Mr. Eric has impressed me quite a bit over the years with all the different trips he does. And when we bring him in, I'll just bring him in and people will be wowed by the background.
Right.
Like we were.
How's it
Eric,
going?
how are you doing tonight, buddy?
Good, guys. I appreciate you having me.
I don't see any fish in the background, but I see a couple big bull elk.
Yeah, there's
one up there, one down there.
Perch back here.
Oh, yep, there you go.
There you go.
And I've got some replicas up by my fireplace. I always say you fish long enough, you're bound to catch something, right?
Yeah, and that's the truth. I mean, even if
it's usually a food or an empty beer can for me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, and here I thought I was really going to show you off because I'm like, if anybody knows Eric or doesn't know Eric, he doesn't just fish; he hunts as well, and hunts very well. But you can see in the background that you hunt very well.
Well, I've been fortunate. You work hard at it, like same with fishing. It's our passion. It's what we really like to do. That's why we work, make money, and so we can go enjoy the things we really love. And I was fortunate on that bull. Actually, that bull is this one right here. Best case about the whole thing I was able to do with my dad, and my dad is with me, and it is great. Time I'll never forget.
That's really awesome. Cool. You're very good about doing stuff with family. I was going to kind of hang on to some of these pictures, but as long as we're on family, as quick as we are here, you are always doing stuff, making memories, and teaching the boys something, and that's really fun to watch on Facebook and on your social media pages.
Well, I appreciate that. If you would have told me 15 years ago before I became a dad that it would be as fun as it is, I was probably like, no. But I tell you what, right now I could, not that I don't want to catch fish and hunt, but that's really the joy that I get right now. Not only my kids, but taking other kids fishing, teaching them something. It's memories. It's things that they don't forget. One thing that always sticks in my mind, when I've given seminars, I always end by talking about kids, that type of thing. But if you, and I think all of the three of us would be in the same boat. If I asked you two what you guys got for gifts 3 years ago, say at Christmas time or whatever, I'm going to guess you guys probably don't remember, or if you do, it's faint. But if I asked you guys, tell me something about the biggest fish you caught, or your first pheasant, or your first deer, your biggest deer. Same with kids. Tell you what, that stuff just sinks in. And not only can they tell you when, where, but they'll give you some details. And that just tells me something about the outdoors. It's a special time.
Yeah, I can tell you my most memorable deer hunt ever was my daughter's first deer, and it was a doe. And I mean, I remember that. I mean, that'll probably go down forever as the best hunt I ever had. And I didn't have a gun. We were mentoring her, and it was like the emotion, everything, the whole lead up was just absolutely probably my number one outdoor story to this day was watching her take her first doe.
Well, you go look at the pictures. You have a happier look on your face than she does, be honest with you.
Oh, 100%. It was so funny because my buddy helped us, because I've never been much of a deer hunter. I've only shot 2 little bucks in my life, and I've just started getting into it at an older age. But like, my buddy was up there and he guided, and he'd been a guide, and he helped us on this hunt. And she pulls up the gun and he's got her on the deer, and she shoots it, and he goes, "Did you hear it go thud?" And she couldn't answer. Go, "Yep. Yep." I was behind her, like he was talking to me, like I was more excited than she was. So,
and for me, I think that's just part of being a dad. That's what we sign up to do.
Yeah.
And I think we know other guys that have kids, and for me, the outdoors is not just a guy thing anymore. Back when I was younger, it was, but to spend it with the people you really want to spend it with, that are most important to you. Does it get any better than that? To me, it's not. Even some of the guide trips, you become really good friends with them. And some of those people get to be like families because of the connections. And that's, to me, it's the friendships, it's the camaraderie, hanging out with you guys. It's great.
Well, it's amazing. You could take a kid with you. I took Cade with me to fish the Mississippi with PJ Vic last weekend, and he wanted nothing to do with it. He came along because he had to, didn't really want to. He laid in the bottom of the boat the entire time, and he still probably doesn't understand that I was pleased as punch because he was just there. Mm-hmm. Even if he didn't want to fish, he was just there, because we don't do a lot of stuff together. He's always off running around doing stuff, and he's at his mom's as well. So it was a pretty special day. I just never let him in on it because he thought it was super boring, and I just said, "Yep, it was terribly boring." Just leave it at that, So yeah, it really is fun. It's fun to watch all of these kids. We talked about Kelmerton about his Take Kids Outdoors, and that's been fun. So it's been fun to have conversation about the kids. But let's have some adult conversation. You are a fantastic fisherman. I know my friends and I, we can't seem to catch fish, and we're like, yeah, well, it must have been a cold front. Must have been this, must have been that. And one of my friends will say, well, Brandriet caught him. How come you didn't? Brandriet caught him. Like, well, he knows how to catch fish.
Everybody's got their days, most fishermen, you don't hear about the bad days. We all have bad days. And you know what? And it's those days that we learn the most. The days that you go out and they're just one after another, when it's pretty easy, it's fun, but you don't learn a whole lot, to be honest. And I'm probably a little bit odd, probably like some other guys. When I catch a fish, I ask myself why, how did I do it? Where's the next one? I probably analyze a little bit too much, but that's just who I am. I catch one, I want to catch another one, and I want to catch a bigger one. And that's just, like I said, you spend enough time, you're bound to catch something. And if you ask my wife, she says I fish about 400 days a year. So I'm not quite sure. So maybe that I do spend a little time, but it's a passion. It's something that I really enjoy.
It is a lot of fun.
I think you hit the nail on the head with you analyze stuff. And I think that, honestly, Eric, you are, you may not say it yourself, but I would consider you in one of the upper echelons of the South Dakota angler, because you are out there and you post, obviously you put pictures out when you have a good day, but you're out there a lot, but you're improving every time. I've known you for probably over 10 years now, and watching you grow into the sport and doing the things you're doing. I remember the first time I met you, I'm like, who is this guy? And then starting to follow along and watching you are truly, you're technical. You overcome your mistakes. You analyze, maybe they're not even mistakes, but you analyze what you did that day. And I really think that's what sets you apart from a lot of guys.
Well, I appreciate that, Kurt. That's wow. That's very nice. I do. I pay a lot of attention to detail, and I think once you get to the detail and think about a little bit deeper, I think that's where you do start to separate yourself, maybe. But like you said, we all have bad days. There's many days I go out and just shake my head like, what in the world? But I think there's so much more to fishing nowadays, whether it's our tackle, our rods and reels, our electronics is one. I mean, you can read about it, you can buy it, you can look at it, you can feel it, but nothing replaces time on the water. You cannot, that's the only thing that's going to make you better. Yeah, you can go sit in your boat at your house and push buttons. Do I do that? Yes. My ice units, I sit on the couch with them and I push all kinds of buttons. Makes me better when I get on the water, but nothing replaces time on the water. To use something, to get the feel for it, to catch fish, just nothing replaces that. And that's where I feel luckily to have the time that I spend. But that's where a person really gets good, I think, or better, I should say.
Yeah, it's the practice.
Absolutely.
It's
like anything else.
A big deal. You can bring the live sonar into it and forward facing sonar. Of course, you're a Humminbird guy, a Minn Kota guy, so you're using the Mega Live. You have to admit that it's changed the way you fish, right?
Oh, absolutely. And whether any kind of forward facing sonar, I guess I've committed a lot of days to it where I go out on a body of water and I may know they're biting on something else, but today that's who I am. And I'm either going to pass or fail. And those are the days that I learn. And I think when you have something new like that has literally changed fishing, it's something that you have to spend time with. And I can give Kurt, I can give Jason, I can give you guys all the settings, and I will gladly do it, of my Mega Live. But until you actually get out there with a rod in your hands, drop a lure, cast a lure, and actually figure it out that way, that's where you're going to learn. And it's very easy to learn. It's just time. I know some people maybe get scared about it or say, hey, you know what? I just can't figure it out. Easy for me to say, but you just haven't spent enough time. If I can figure it out, anybody can figure it out.
Well, I used to be bad at Pac-Man. I was horrible at Pac-Man until Mom got one in the Dairy Queen and I played it every day. Well, then all of a sudden I became a Pac-Man. I was superior. I was very good at it. And I almost called myself an expert, and I don't want to do that. But that, I think that really did help me understand when it comes to electronics. I remember I think it was 2013, I bought my first Humminbird core units. I bought the 798s, and I went out and I mapped and I did all kinds of stuff. And for 2 summers, all I did was drive around in the boat trying to figure out, are those rocks? Are those weeds? What am I seeing? And I was looking for the confidence. I really, if you're going to have this stuff, you got to figure it out. And my friends constantly, and they'll tell me today, you need to just fish, quit playing video games and fish. I'm like, no, I'm learning. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying the heck out of this. I like to fish, but I like this a little bit better. So, it's really amazing. And Al came out and said a few things about forward facing sonar, Al Linder, about the muskie and the crappie and how it may hurt those populations because you got the fish at 10,000 casts. And then you've got those schools of crappie that can't hide anymore. That's all they really had, was to be able to be stealthy and hide. And now they're there for the taking because you can see them and you can find them. And hopefully people will be, good stewards of the technology. And don't overtake, don't get your limit every day, that type of thing. I know for you, and or at least I'm guessing for you in guiding, it's got to help you find fish a little bit easier, to get people on fish a little bit better. Clay, how you doing?
It does. I mean, it's changed how I search for fish. There's certain bodies of water. If you get a body of water like a wahi with no weeds and a hard bottom, you take that Mega Live and my side imaging, and it's give me 15 minutes to drive around in June, and I tell you what, it's not going to take me long to find them. And I think you hit probably a whole nother topic. Us as fishermen and hunters, conservation has to be part of what we do. Do we? Yeah. It's changed the way we fish. It's changed fishing. Is it going to go away? I don't think so. I think it's here to stay. It's going to get better, probably, the way the industry goes. Is it fun? Yeah. You ask my kids, in the springtime here on Big Stone, we take a Mega Live and we put it on the end of my dock and scan the end of the dock. And my kids have a tough time going down the lake because they're used to it. Yeah, it's changed. It's definitely changed how we look at bodies of water.
Well, and going on that, there's a big controversy. Is it ethical? Is it what? And I got to tell everybody, if we're going to take forward-facing sonar away, we better take away spot lock. We better take away GPS maps. That all stuff was revolutionary when it came out.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, GPS maps changed everything. And then so did spot lock. The ability to lock on top of fish.
Absolutely.
We just got to get with it, evolve with it. And, Jason, you have your strong opinions about it. The fish are starting.
Yeah, he's locking up.
Gus, I brought up a few. He was sitting there on the day, and he told guys, turn off your sonars if you're going to be around me because it's messing with my fish.
Mm-hmm.
So the fish are finding that if they can, like PJ Vic said last week, if they can feel bait with their lateral lines, they definitely can feel the ping of that forward-facing sonar.
Yep, we noticed that a lot last winter, fishing some real shallow lakes. My passion in the wintertime is big perch. I mean, I will give up all the walleyes. That is something that I grew up doing growing up in Watertown. Fishing some shallow lakes last year, we actually had to be a little bit more strategic where we would put the forward-facing sonar in a hole and then we drilled holes out away from it. I mean, to me, it was pushing the fish a little bit. Did we go back and look at it and use it? Yeah, we scanned all the way around and found fish. But I'm PJ, I totally agree.
Yeah, it was. We fished on marsh. Did you fish marsh last year?
Marsh was
1.9 feet of water.
Yep.
And you'd watch the fish come in and they'd leave, and they'd come in and they'd leave. And it got to the point, I think things were freezing up because we were fishing outside, kind of running and gunning. And it got to the point where, okay, turn it off. Well, you turn it off and you forget about it. And all of a sudden you're catching fish. Like,
yep.
Wow, cool. And I never really figured it out till I heard people start talking about it. And then I started doing some testing myself and doing some experiments. And it really opened my eyes to forward-facing sonar and the fact that you've got, 6 transducers, maybe 5 in the Mega Live, but you still have all these transducers, and when they turn on, the fish are scrambling. There's no doubt. No, you can't argue with it. You can't argue with the science. So it's pretty crazy.
I totally agree. I'm with you, Kurt. I think our mapping is the one that really changed stuff for all of us. I don't know where to use my forward-facing sonar until I look at my map, and then and I don't mean to talk about a real brand specific, but like the new Humminbird VX chips where they shade the colors.
Yeah.
You want to talk about finding something really fast now? I don't even need to read the contour lines anymore. I have in my head what colors mean. And I tell you what, I can run Lake Oahe real quick. I know if they're at 10 feet of water, I put in at Whitlocks and I scan for about 10 minutes or 5 minutes while I'm waiting for the guys. And to me, that was probably the first biggest change.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I agree. And then Facebook came along. Let's be honest. There were not 1,000 trucks on marsh last year because the neighbor told the neighbor or the best friend told the best friend. It hit Facebook and it blew up. And frankly, when it all came to a head, because the lake, I understand it froze. So it winter killed because the oxygen levels just dropped to absolutely nothing toward the end. We would have lost all those big fish anyway. So it was good that it got fished out. But, we're fishing out bodies of water prematurely. And I think, people they're a little bit on the greedy side. They're not realizing it takes a long time for a fishery to grow good fish like that. Marsh did not just all of a sudden have those 14, 15, and 16-inch perch in it that were all caught early. They didn't just happen over the last year or two. It took a while.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a long time for a lake like that. Look at Lake Poncet. Lake Poncet's on the rebound from something. I used to have, like the Grizz, I had a clicker because, did we really catch 100 walleye? Now, they were all 14 and 7/8 inches because they had that 15-inch slot. But that was the fun. You went out there and you caught fish, and it was a blast. But now it's tough. Those guys that really know the lake can catch some walleye on it. Other than that, I haven't even heard about a perch bite or a crappie bite yet this fall out there. So, who knows what's going on with that lake? I fished Big Stone a little bit. As a matter of fact, I've got it on my calendar to fish it this weekend, but I haven't heard about the bluegill or the perch going there. So I'm like, well, we'll just wait and see what people say. But I see this hit the news. I guess for some, Kelloland made it big news. The zebra mussels are making their way around, confirmed in Big Stone. And if the folks hadn't heard, it was confirmed in the Big Sioux, south of Watertown. Will it make its way down to Sioux Falls? It may be a while yet, but they're out there, and I've talked to a few people lately, even those on Lake Bemidji that have them. They're not bothered by them. They cleaned the lake up. They made the lake a little easier to fish, from what I understand. The fish are still biting there like crazy, but some said, well, they come on, they die, the fish survive it. What are your thoughts about the zebra mussels in Big Stone?
Was it a shock this week? Probably not. For the amount of traffic we get here, I hate to say it was inevitable, but in the back of my mind, I was waiting for the day it was probably going to happen. What's it going to do to the fishing here? I'm not sure. Big Stone is, I've lived here for going on 24 years. I've seen the lake evolve a lot in 24 years. I don't know if this is just another thing that was going to change it again. I'll be honest, I haven't lived or I haven't spent a lot of time on bodies of water that had zebra mussels besides like Green Bay, the Great Lakes. So I'm going to be a new one. Big Stone in general, we get a lot of clear water, different times of the year. So the walleye fishing can be a little tough at times. We find tactics to catch them then, but I'm not sure. I know the buzz around town the last couple of days. People are a little unsure, that type of thing. But invasive species isn't new to Big Stone. We've got the curly pondweed. Everybody's heard of that. Is it fun to fish? No. But in the other side, we wouldn't have the perch numbers if we didn't have curly pondweed either, or we wouldn't have the fish that we currently have. So do we want to get rid of curly pondweed? I would say yes and no. We've learned to live with it. We've learned how to catch fish with it, but it's done wonders for fish populations.
So our lake cabin in Minnesota, they had Asian milfoil, 20 years ago. And I hadn't been up there in years. And I talked to my cousin and I said, so how's the milfoil? Because they were taking the water combine out there to cut it to even make it recreational. And he said, it's gone. We got zebra mussels in a couple of years. The milfoil was gone. So it turned that lake back into a usable lake because it was so bad that you couldn't get out there. You couldn't do anything on the lake because the milfoil was so bad. So it's really helped that lake, but it'd be interesting with Big Stone, with all the weed beds you fish and stuff like that, what it will do to that body of water. If it cleans it up too much, the fish aren't going to go away. It's not going to kill the fish, but how are we going to catch them? You find a weed bed, you fish a weed edge, you do that kind of thing. What's your, like I said, you've watched it evolve. When the curly pondweed come in, you had to figure out how to fish the lake then. Right.
And it'll be interesting to see how the curly pondweed is affected by the zebra mussels. That's an interesting thing. I think that's probably not been thought of. How are two invasive species going to live together? How's it going to affect what we've got? Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch that lake over the next few years and see what it does. I mean, that lake is. I never really fished it till a couple of years ago. My dad absolutely hates Big Stone. He fished tournaments up there. He said I spent an entire month on Big Stone and never caught a walleye. I'll never go back. But the pan fishing on Big Stone is incredible. We went up there and did the snow bear tournament, and the bluegills and the crappies and the stuff that we caught off that lake was absolutely incredible.
We are very lucky right now. You know, our panfish numbers are taking a hit. They just pulled some nets here, their fall nets last week or two, and I heard some numbers. You know, like the last 2 years, perch numbers all-time high. They're definitely down from that, and size has decreased. Walleye numbers, as everybody's probably heard, we got a lot of walleyes, and they're really big ones. We just don't have small fish right now. And it sounded like some of the walleye numbers were up too, even smaller fish. So, you know, maybe Mother Nature's going to help us out. Maybe this zebra mussel is a thing that Mother Nature's going to, you never know. It seems like about the time you think we know something. I mean, the three of us have seen it on Lake Oahe. We're still maybe trying to figure that body of water out. But Mother Nature seems to help us out there too, off and on too.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't have thought that all that low water was really gonna, you know, pay off, but it did, because it gave us all that vegetation on the shorelines, and that brought all of those fish from 100 feet, from that 70 to 100 foot mark, back up into fishable water in that chute from 5 to 7 feet of water. A lot of guys caught walleye in that depth almost all summer.
Yeah. And I just remember in June when we were out there, we were casting in 3 feet of water, flooded grass. I tell you what, it was, there was a lot of hollering going on in my boat, because there's times we had 2 or 3 on at a time. And, you know, and then all of a sudden it'd show up big catfish that would just, yeah, it was a great body of water this summer to be on.
Well, and the thing about that is everybody was complaining about the low water, and I was super excited for it. I was hoping it would stay down, you know, for a couple of years to grow that vegetation up, because, you know, in what was it, 08, it was the all-time high. You know, it hit all-time high, but in like 07 or something like that, it went to record lows. Or maybe it was 08 record lows, and then it came up. In the 08 walleye year class, I mean, do you remember that year we had a 12 fish limit? Because that was right after the flood. There was no bait in the system, but our numbers boomed from that water coming up into that vegetation. And, you know, they're lowering the lake right now, and I'm super okay with it. Get some vegetation on the shoreline and let that bait fish and the fry and everything have a place to hide. And these fish the fish chase bait. They're just like us. We like to eat. That's their job. So when the water is low and the bait's deep, that's where the fish are. When the water comes up after vegetation grows and the shoreline is full of fry and minnows and smelt and whatever else is up there shallow, and the gizzard shad, you know, the smelt go deep. When it gets hot, they go deep. So the fish used to chase it. In that, that early years when that water came back up, there was a guy that won the Governor's Cup, and he never fished above like 12 foot of water the whole tournament, and they won the Governor's Cup. And everybody's like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "We're casting shallow." And everybody's like, "What?" You know, such a shocker to everybody in the Gov Cup. Like, why are you shallow? And they're like, "We didn't catch a fish over like 10, 12 foot of water the entire tournament because the fish held shallow." And you know, people say, "Oh, the fishing was tough or whatever." It's because they're so programmed. If it's July, we go deep, right? You go deep, but these fish held shallow. Like you said, guys caught fish all year shallow on Lake Oahe.
Yep. And I think that was just something that was missed by a lot of people. Even where our house is out there, you talk to a lot of the locals, and of course, not everybody says is 100% honest out there, but I remember in July, right after the 4th of July, I was out there, and guys were asking me, like, and we caught a bunch of big fish in July. And how deep are you? 8 feet. And they looked at me like I was lying. And I'm like, follow me tomorrow. I mean, my boat, go look at my track. We just beat the shorelines. And yeah, and to me, that even makes walleye even more fun. I don't care what, when you can catch a fish in shallow water, and do it as many more different ways as you can in deep water, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for Lake Oahe. The Walleye Coalition's done a great job stocking and bringing bait in. That's awesome that they're doing that because, for years, Game Fish and Parks told us stocking didn't work. Well, it works. These fish weren't here naturally. They got here somehow. So we can all understand that stocking works. I'm 100% behind stocking. I like the fact that they're stocking bait as well. Hope they keep this plan up. I hope they continue to stock the reservoir every year and let it grow. Because we all know there never in our lifetime will we see too many fish in Lake Oahe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, never.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember back to the glory days. And if I remember right, it was like the early 90s, 91, 92. And that was before I believe a lot of us were educated. We didn't think we could hurt a body of water like that. And boy, did we ever hurt that. I mean, I remember days where we wouldn't catch any walleyes under 20 inches. And back then, it was close. If not, I don't think there was a length limit. And of course, when you're going to keep fish, you kept them all. I have some pictures, and I wouldn't want to even show anybody. Wow. But that's the fish that everybody was keeping, and we learned. But it's not always about keeping fish. But when you get a body of water like Oahe, obviously my favorite, the scenery, the sights, the sounds, being able to go find a spot to fish all by yourself. It doesn't get any better.
Earlier, you can fish any way you want, especially now on Oahe. And don't think you have to follow the crowd into 40, 50 foot of water because there's fish up shallow.
Right. Well, I really have to add that out on Oahe, if you can fish and you have a buffalo up on a bluff and you've got an eagle flying beside him, it doesn't get much better than that.
Life is good. And you exactly said it, Kurt. I think Oahe is a body of water that you can fish to your strength. Pick your favorite and pick what you're confident in, and you're going to catch fish out there. Some bodies of water aren't like that. And that's where taking people out fishing, or my kids have different places or different ways they prefer. They love to cast. And, 10 years ago, did I cast much on Oahe? No. And now, oh my gosh, we pull up to a spot and right away my kids are grabbing casting rods out of the rod locker and they start casting. I think that's why that body of water is so much fun.
Yeah, it is a fun body of water. It's gotten better. The last couple of years have been tough. I got to admit that it has been very hard, but this year was a lot more fun. And I didn't fish that much this year, but I sure saw a lot of fish and heard some great stories. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, like I said, I'm excited for the future of that, of the system, because with the stocking and everything like that, it's going to be, continue to do that. Hopefully Game Fish and Parks follows through and puts in, the millions of fish they did this year, next year, and the year after, and the year after, and the year after. It's just going to get better and better and better.
I agree.
No doubt. Speaking of better and better, I've got to show a couple of pictures here real quick because, yay, thank you, Humminbird, for putting the lights on. It's nice to know what's on and what's hooked up. I think that was a smart move.
Mm-hmm.
And a necessary one, and the one that's got me intrigued, and I'm hoping that you know enough about it to tell us about the new drift mode. I'm kind of intrigued there.
I wish I knew a little bit more about it. My new Ultra-X Quest motor is ordered. I will have a new one coming. Before I get to that, the Quest motors are unbelievable. I was fortunate to be at the photo shoot. I had an Altera on my Vexus at the photo shoot. You probably have seen some pictures on the Minn Kota site with my boat. It's an unbelievable motor. All the Quest series is how quiet they are. They're a brushless motor. the quietness, and literally the power is unbelievable. The torque, the thrust. If I'm not careful, I feel like with my Quest motor, I could literally throw somebody out the front of my boat. It's absolutely an unbelievable motor. The drift mode, obviously I haven't been able to use it, but I've watched that video with Kevin Van Dam. You know, being able to take into account wind and current and still be able to drift in a certain way. For us walleye guys, oh man,
Amazing.
it's going to put more fish in our boat. It's going to be a new feature that's going to be used a lot.
Yeah, I'm really curious to try it. I think the perch ticklers that I don't know if Doris has them up at Lake Campesca Lodge anymore or not, but I bought a bunch from her, and they are absolutely magic when you're drift fishing for walleye and perch too.
Mm-hmm.
But this drift mode has me super intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be neat. I think Helix Mega Live. Hey, Calmerton. Mega Live's got a new update for the Helix, right? So I think that's the 1.29, is it?
Yes. And in my mind, it improves. There's a big step. And people that have not updated their units that are using Mega Live, do it, please. The amount of noise goes way down. It's something that not only for us guys, open water, that are still using it, but the guys for ice fishing, definitely get that updated if you can. I'll throw it out there. You have problems updating your units, get a hold of me. I'll gladly help you. I've sent many updates on chips to people's houses to get things updated, gladly help. But yeah, it's I heard it's a big.
Yeah, I'm excited to do the update and see the difference there. And Humminbird is a little difficult. It's intimidating when it comes to a software update for everything that you got to do. I see a lot of people on the social media that say, "Oh, I updated and it screwed everything up." Yeah, but did you reset the defaults before you went into it? You know, there's some things that are key there that you've got to do. And that's really important when you're doing a software update. So I'm glad that you're offering to help people.
Absolutely. Anytime. I want to be a resource. Like I said, when it comes to settings, whatever I use, I'm more than willing to share. Just don't ask for me for all my waypoints. I don't know if I'll get a card sent out on those, but no, yes, on updates, rigging, all of that. Use me as a resource. I'll gladly help you. And if you leave a message, I promise to get back to you. But the Humminbird Minn Kota stuff with the one bolt network, as people have heard, it can get very intimidating. But like Jason, like when you posted that new port, being able to have the lights on, knowing that you're connected and that type of thing, that was a big step. That will be a big welcome product. One other thing, which is really cool, I know the drift mode, we talked a little bit about that. For us walleye anglers, that's going to be big. Another one that's really cool about these new Quest motors is the integration with the Humminbirds. When you hook that motor up, it actually gives you a battery meter in your Humminbird, so you know where you're at for the day, how much you're using. I noticed that at the photo shoot. I didn't take any pictures of it, but oh my gosh, and the new remote, there's new remotes, better held in your hand. They're not big. That was another big step that they had changed. And yeah, the new remote is great also.
Fantastic. That's good to hear. I love it when they make things, when they make great things better.
Right.
It's a lot of fun. Well, I'll tell you what, it's been fun having you. I see we're on almost
before we hop off, we better not forget to talk about that Vexus boat you're running.
Oh, yeah, we cannot leave
We've had some conversations about it. You made a comment to me that, you know, guys are talking about, they kind of sit high in the water, they do this and that. And, you know, I had a guy call me earlier this year. We talked about Eric, that he was a little wanting to know. And you said the same thing. You ordered it with never driving it. And what's your take on it? What do you think about that Vexus you're running?
I'm 1,000% satisfied. I owned a bunch of boats before. You're right. Like we had said, like when we were visiting, I ordered my boat without even being in one, without even sitting in one. I had talked to a bunch of guys across the country, and I always explain it as this. We all jump in our trucks, and after a while, you drive the truck down the road, and you just know it's a truck. And you jump in the truck, you know it. When I get in my Vexus, I almost get giddy about it yet, because it is so much fun to drive, and it's just a huge step up from what I had before. When you get something, the newness wears off. I just got done with the second season of my Vexus, and I'm still like, I get in it the very next time, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. I have no complaints about the boat. Sitting up higher, that's probably the first thing people will notice. I fished a lot on Hawaii, a lot in the wind. It tracks so well. I don't notice. The only time to really be honest is when I notice is when I want to lean down and wash my hands off from the boat. I just can't get to the water. But it is a machine. It's a fishing machine, to be honest. I can go on and on about that. That'd be a whole different show. But there again, if somebody wants to know more about them, wants to go for a ride, I will always try to make it work. Get a hold of me next spring. I know this fall is getting pretty close to
maybe getting awful ducky out there.
Yeah, right.
Here I'm kind of torn. My dog and I should say my dog and kids are wanting to go hunting, and I'm still wanting to go to the water. But my dog and my kids have won here recently. And there again, the kids, it's so tough. Fall is awesome. There's so many things to do. Ducks are flying, geese are flying. We got pheasant season opening up. Yeah, with the Vexus, any questions, send them my way. Come talk to me.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate your time tonight, Eric, and we'll probably have you back on later this year when the ice hits, because you'll be out there pretty hard and running around doing your ice stuff. So we'll definitely have to bring you back up. We got a calendar. You got to.
Yeah, we're 30 days away from the Ice Institute, by the way. November 10, 11, and 12. Today's the 11th, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we are 30 days away from Sioux Falls. So see you in Sioux Falls.
Pardon me?
We'll see you in Sioux Falls?
Yes, I'm hoping to get down there at least one day, at least hang out, say hi to everybody, and then probably hustle back here and get back to the goose blind and the after the ducks with my kids.
Awesome. Fantastic. You know what? Before we go to our thoughts and prayers with Todd Heitkamp, he broke some sad news, but encouraging news that he has been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and we're all praying for him and hoping for the best. And of course, he's got a big support group there. So excited to see him in 30 days too.
Absolutely. And lastly, I just want to say thanks to you guys for promoting to me, the best sport in the country, fishing, the outdoors. It's guys like you that are allowing us to talk about it, to teach people, to hopefully get more people interested in it. We live in the best state, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Don't say that. I'd maybe
not too loud.
Out. I don't know if you can, but I'm a little biased. Do I love the other states? Yes, but I thank God every day I live where I live, and know guys like you guys. It's a great time to be alive.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? No doubt. It's absolutely fantastic.
Well, we really appreciate your time, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Guys. You guys take care. Appreciate it.
Take care. Thank you.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, there we go.